Good afternoon on what is a mild grey and cloudy day. It is Friday the 12th of April and I'm in the reading with a nice hot cup of tea and package to unbox, which arrived this morning. Okay, let's get this open. Cutting along the line of the sellotape. So just I'm avoiding my fingers because you don't want to see those bleed everywhere. And what I've got is this. This is the Best of White Dwarf Scenarios Volume 3. Now I've done unboxings of all of these. This is essentially, you start off with Best of White Dwarf Articles Volume 1 and Volume 2, and 2, and then you've got Best of White Dwarf Scenarios Volumes 1 and 2, and so on. And these collect what's regarded as some of the best content, some of the best articles and scenarios from the classic period of White Dwarf, from roughly about issue 9, issue 10, something like that onwards, up until about issue 50 or so, and all of the content in these collections are regarded as the best. This is absolute classic gaming content. This is content which has, if you are of a certain age and British, that you will actually remember with a great deal of fondness. So we open up. This is actually intended, I should say, point out that I'm actually collecting all of these. I've got these, but I've actually collected them again to give as a gift to a friend who doesn't have them, whom I hope will appreciate them. And we open up with an advert. We've got an advert for Call of Cthulhu, the box set, which Games Workshop was publishing at the time. This would have been a box set for the 3rd edition, and it just makes the credits. The contents page says, essentially issues of White Dwarf go out of print these days. That's why we decided to present the Best of White Dwarf scenarios for our more recent readers. Of course, we knew we had to publish the whole of Irilian, the complete AD&D city, because its popularity and request by the readers to have it all in one volume. What that actually means essentially is that the Irilian is such a big campaign. It's the only campaign that White Dwarf have ever published. That there's not room for very much more in here. But we open up, and what we've got is, first off, The Watchers of Walberswick, which is a Call of Cthulhu adventure for inexperienced to intermediate investigators set in England in 1934. It is perhaps one of the first scenarios to be set during the 1930s for Call of Cthulhu. It is essentially the player characters investigating a disappearance in basically Norfolk, I believe, and the Norfolk coast, and discovering you've got a colony of deep ones off the coast. Very Innsmouth, and probably inspired by something. I mean, basically a particular piece of fiction, which doesn't spring to mind at this point. But this was the very first Call of Cthulhu scenario published in White Dwarf, published in issue 50. Very nice sort of clear map of Walberswick, and it's very sort of like feel very bucolic, mouldering seaside town, but very British in its feel. Here we've got Eagle's Nest, Eagle Hunt, an alien scenario for first level character classes, and it involves the McGuffey and Rose Detective Agency. This is written by Marcus L. Rowland, who was a prolific contributor to White Dwarf back in the day, originated the concepts for Call of Cthulhu modern play in White Dwarf 41 and 42, with Cthulhu Now, without which we would not have Delta Green or any Call of Cthulhu modern day role-playing settings. But this scenario is essentially, it's a MacGuffin hunt because it involves a detective agency, and what the player characters have actually got to do is break into a thieves guild headquarters and locate a missing item. And it was designed to accompany the detective class that Marcus L. Rowland also wrote, and that appears in Scenarios Volume 3. Sorry, in Articles Volume 3, the companion volume to this. It's the only real connection between the two magazines. So I'm going to flip a bit further back because I'm going to save the best till last. So we have a look at the contents page. What we've got? Oh yeah, and we move to the centre section, and this is the Rumble at Tin Inn. This is a scenario, a borrowing brawl for RuneQuest by Michael Cule, who is sort of like well known in British role-playing circles, actor. He's also a fan of Empire of the Petal Throne and Tech Mail, because I played in his game that he has run. And the Tin Inn is excuse me, is a location in Apple Lane, which you will find in the scenario pack of the original for RuneQuest from the late 70s to 79, and also in the GM pack for RuneQuest role-playing in Glorantha. And so the Tin Inn is kind of like a classic, iconic location in RuneQuest in Glorantha, and you have all the reasons there to have a big fight in the inn. And the thing is with that is that White Dwarf did a couple of these kind of big stand-up brawl fight scenarios, which the sort of thing which you could set up and just play for a session or even run at a convention. So let's see if there's anything. We've got also got an advert there for Golden Heroes, and then for the various miniatures published by Citadel Miniatures at the time. There's your map of the Tin Inn, different to, I think, to what is depicted in the supplement, the GM pack for RuneQuest role-playing in Glorantha. You've got the various stats for the NPCs, the player characters, essentially who are going to be brawling, so you can have multiple players in this. And then advert for the Star Trek role-playing game, which Games Workshop licensed from FASA at the time. Advert for dungeon floor plans, which were a big thing. You could buy box sets of floor plans, you could cut up a card and lay out, so you could lay out your dungeons and that sort of thing. And we move on to, let's have a look. The Snowbird Mystery by Andy Slack. It's a traveller scenario using the basic set of Book 4. Comes with fantastic Explorer class floor plans for a scout ship, and it's all a case of a missing a scout ship, and the player characters have to go and find it. Nicely detailed scenario. Lastly, we've got an advert for Middle-earth role-playing, MERP. That's the Games Workshop box set. Came as the original one from Ice Crown, as it sort of came more like a not a slipcase edition, but it's essentially quite a slim box. This came as a bookcase. And then we've got advert for more Citadel miniatures on the back. There we go. And there's basically, we've got, and here you've got actual starter sets for playing. So we've got the adventurous starter set, right down to having your own your mule, which you would sort of like, trail with you behind you as you're going through the dungeon, using it to hold all the treasure you would find, because it was bloody heavy. And then there's the starter monster set. These were kind of representative, because you get a range of different types of monsters, but you wouldn't get the full number. You'd have to go out and buy more. So if you wanted a band of orcs, you'd just sort of like, you'd have one orc in there representing them all, as it were. So, what have I missed out in this? Very simply, save the best for last. And because it literally sits, you've got in the middle, you've actually got the Rumble of the Tin Inn. And the Rumble of the Tin Inn is actually designed to be taken out, played, put down on the table. But in between that, you have the glory that is Irilian, which detailed a complete region and city and a big threat to that city. So we've got a complete guide to the nomenclature used in the game, a quick map, small map of the area, and it's complete Advanced Legends of Dragon City by Daniel Collerton. You can find it online. And you starts off with sort of like an encounter with some dwarves and a caravan, takes to the training post and gets you to the city of Irilian, and gives you an overview of the city and what's in there, and begins to make learning of the potential threat within the city. And then you move on to section 2, and you have part 2. It details a quarter of the city. You've got individual locations where the adventure is being run. So it's doing two things throughout the 6 parts of it. It details a section of the city, then gives you the adventure, so, and because the adventure takes place in that part of the city, or sort of in a previous part you've already been to early on. You've got a fantastic map of a chapel. There we go. The maps in are absolutely fantastic. I really love them. And then you've got a Griffin Inn, fully mapped out there. And even got a bit of a visual joke worked into the text there. You're reading that as a part as the man at the top basically empties his pot onto the street, Gardy Lou, and then we've got the home of Tazov Agzoth, the astrologer. Again, more great floor plans. You've got to visit Tim's the Sage in his home. So they're a bit small because it's packed with information. You kind of want it bigger, bolder, better. Part 3. And there you've got a full map there, the half of it. You'll see the other half when I flip through the pages. So I'm just going to flip straight through past Rumble at Tinian again. There we go, you can see it in its full glory. And reading this at the time, because I have to be honest, I wasn't subscribing to White Dwarf at this point when it started, but I was very quickly, so I immediately after said, I've got to make sure I'm going to get this. So you've got more locations. This is in part 3. You've got a warehouse. You've got basically a big chapel church, and events going on. It's a really action-packed, great scenario. You absolutely wish that the author Dan Collerton could bring it back, could actually make it playable once again and accessible for modern audiences. Now, you can, as I said, you can track this down, get hold of it, and adapt it yourself. It would be nice to have it updated. Here we've got part 4, and we've got down to the southeast corner of the city, where you've got the council huts, various NPCs, the monasterium, part 5, the whole of the southern half of the city there, detailed, and we've got the Gnome Jewel Af. It's fairly densely presented, as I say, a lot of information. And there you can see an overview of all the wards that we've actually been looking at, going around, as it were, as the play through. So essentially you've come through up there and just sort of like work your way around. And then presumably part 6, Dark Rise on Ilion. This section sort of describing the things like religious law, civil law, that sort of thing, expanding and detailing Irilian, bringing the campaign to a close, and dealing with the aftermath of the Dark Rise. So that is the Best of White Dwarf Scenarios Volume 3. If you do not have this, I thoroughly recommend you find it, and I actually recommend you actually find all of the Best of magazines for White Dwarf. The articles not so much, but the scenarios absolutely, because essentially they showcase some really great writing, some really great adventures over the years. Anyway, in the meantime, thank you very much for watching another unboxing in the Nook. If you enjoyed this, then please do click on the like button down below. And if you've got any more, sorry, where was I? Yeah, if you've got any comments or feedback, I appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be able to get more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me out here with a package containing a book or game, or in this case a magazine or best of collection, which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea, then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing in the Nook, and we'll be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.